Good afternoon, everybody. Here we are at the Ararat Ridge Zoo at the Ark Encounter, where we have more animals than people because we're still shut down in Kentucky, unfortunately. But we need to pray that the Lord will do a miracle and allow us to open up again soon so we can impact a lot of people. And these animals are getting lonely. They want people here. So I'm going to follow along if you've got any questions. We have hundreds of zoo experts here today, as you can see. Well, the equivalent of hundreds of zoo experts, because we have our head zoo senior manager and a number of zookeepers and animal presenter. And this is going to be an exciting program. So I am going to find my program here on Facebook so you can follow me along. There we are. And I can follow you along. I'll follow all your questions. And so, we get a lot of people on here already. Wow, I better hand over to our zoo staff. So we're going to have fun as we see leashes on lizards and learning about lizard kinds. There's my tongue twister. See if you can come up with a better tongue twister than that. Leashes on lizards and learning about lizard kinds. I did pretty good. Can you say that, Leanne?
Leashes on lizards and learning about lizard kinds.
Hey, she did pretty well. That's very good. That's my tongue twister for today. So, okay, I'm handing over to our senior manager of our zoo, Leanne, and so tell them all about what we're doing here. And we have our special guest.
We have an extra guest here today, yes.
Yeah, the tortoise.
The tortoise.
Because this is his yard, or her yard. Is it a he or a she?
This is a he. So this is Munch. He is our African spurred, also known as the African sulcata tortoise. Munch, he weighs around 75 pounds right now, and he is about 9 years old. So he is quite a big boy. These guys can easily... up weighing over 100 pounds, and they can live up to 150 years, believe it or not.
So, and this was specially given to us
Yes.
to have here because where it was, they ran out of room,
Yes.
correct?
So he was actually the library tortoise at a local library. So they got him when he was a little baby tortoise, kept him there for several years, and then he started outgrowing his enclosure at the library. So they donated him to us. So he is now on exhibit here at the Ark Encounter.
And this is his own enclosure. Look at this.
Yes, this is his own
little house
enclosure.
there.
So he's got his little house in there when it's cold, and then he's got this fun yard with plenty of grass, and he actually has some different herbs planted out here for him as well to munch on. I think he might have eaten most of the ones that were planted in the grass last year. I think we might have to plant some more herbs out here for him. But
So we've got 3 lizards here,
Yes.
but they're all separate kinds. So why don't
Yes.
you explain all that to us?
okay, so a lot of people will look at lizards and you might think, hey, those guys look kind of similar. Maybe they're members of the same created kind. But we actually have 3 different lizard created kinds represented here today. So we have an example of an iguana kind. Of the iguana kind, we have an example of the monitor kind, and we have an example of the whip lizard kind. So boys and girls, we'll get some picture. Well, as you guys see these guys, maybe try to guess what kind it is before I start talking about them. So as I said, we have a monitor lizard kind, the iguana kind represented, and then the whiptail lizard kind represented.
So somebody said here, can you show how to count his age circles? Do they have age circles?
That is a myth. There's not really a good way to age a tortoise
That's
than
for the tortoise.
yes,
Okay.
yes. There's not a good way to age a tortoise other than sometimes you can go a little bit by size, but really tortoises can grow at different rates depending on their diet. So it really just depends on how they're fed. And honestly, individual tortoises grow. Some grow quicker than others. Some are more slow growing. So you can't really use size or any sort
Just
of
like
rings.
you can't really use tree rings to calculate the age of a
Right,
tree.
right.
Same sort of thing.
Same sort of thing. But
Okay,
good question.
so what are we looking at over there?
Okay, so Brittany over here has Jethro. Now, Jethro is our red tegu, and red tegus are members of the whiptail lizard kind, also known as the teid kind. And these lizards, there are about 150 different species within the whiptail lizard kind, and there are actually about 20 different species of tegu. Now, as I said, Jethro here is a red tegu. So these guys are found in South America. You get a good look at his tongue there. So these guys do have Jacobson's organs. So they will collect scents on their tongues and then pull it into their mouth and press it against that Jacobson's organ to smell different things. So this is actually Jethro and one of our other lizards today. Today is actually typically their feeding day, so they haven't been fed yet today. So they're going to be kind of sniffing, checking things out, looking for their lunch.
Hey, they're famous because they got hundreds of people on watching today.
Great.
They really do.
Okay, so as I said, Jethro here is part of the whiptail lizard kind. This kind also includes false monitors, caiman lizards, and jungle runners as well. So this kind has quite a variety within it. And all of these species are native to the New World. So they're native to North and South America. So these guys are found from the United States down through Central and South America
So
as
can
well.
Brittany take him for a walk?
So walking lizards is basically you're just following them where they want to go for the most part. Samson over here, who is sniffing Brittany's leg right now, he is probably our best at walking on a harness. You can kind of guide him where he wants to go. Everybody else, we pretty much just follow around and keep them out of trouble.
So Philip, who's 7, says the one on the rock, well, he's not on the rock anymore, but is an iguana. So
Yes.
that's the iguana
Yes.
kind, isn't
So
it?
yes, that is Samson. Samson is a rhinoceros iguana. We've talked about Samson before, but in case you didn't watch that, rhinoceros iguanas are actually an endangered species of iguana. So we're very fortunate to have him here at the zoo. There are about 39 species of iguana in the world, and they are all part of that iguana kind. So that kind includes terrestrial iguanas like Samson here, as well as the marine iguanas, some iguanas that will live, will actually dive down in the water, and then arboreal species as well. We have a green iguana here green iguanas are considered to be an arboreal species. Samson here, though, likes to pretend he is arboreal sometimes as well.
So he looks like he's going for a walk. So there we are, taking an iguana for a walk on a leash. Look at that.
Yes. Oh, there he goes. He's going to climb. Samson here loves to climb. Sometimes we'll actually let him roam around our keeper area or in our office area, and he loves to climb up on top of things and try to find a nice warm spot to bask. He really loves trying to sit on top of printers. That's one of his favorite things because printers are nice and warm. So you might notice he's doing a little bit of head bobbing right now.
I saw that, yeah.
So I think he's kind of saying, "Hey, Jethro, this is my spot. Don't you come up on my rock. This is my rock."
So a couple of people have asked, do they bite? Are they aggressive? Is that why you have them on leashes so they won't fight?
We have them on leashes because we have them out here in the open. So these guys, especially Samson over there, can move really, really, really fast. So we have them on these harnesses and leashes so that they can be down on the ground exploring, but that they can't get away from us because obviously we don't want our reptiles to get away from us where we can't catch them. I will say some reptiles can be aggressive, but all of our program animals here at the Ark, they're very friendly. They've been desensitized to wearing these harnesses. They really do love going out and investigating new things, and just checking out new things.
So how many teeth does Samson have? Joshua wants to know.
Miss Karina, do you have an answer to that?
You haven't counted his teeth? A lot.
A lot.
Okay, there are. It's a lot.
We will look. I will try to look and see if I can find a number for teeth. No promises, but there might be a number for teeth out there. So now we're going to look at our third lizard kind here, and this is Miss Milka. Milka is our white-throated monitor. So these guys are actually native to Africa, and she is part of the monitor lizard kind, or the Varanid kind, and this kind contains about 80 species of monitor lizards. And Ken, do you know what other very famous lizard is part of this kind?
In Australia?
No.
Oh, it's not? No?
So
Am I supposed to know?
we talked about it earlier.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? I got a short memory today.
That's okay. So Komodo dragons are actually the largest members of this created kind.
The Komodo dragons.
Yes. Komodo
Okay.
dragons. Yes.
Sorry. I'm tired today.
No, you're fine. You're fine. So the Komodo dragons are the largest members of this created kind, and the smallest members of this created kind is a little teeny tiny 9-inch long peninsula monitor that was just discovered in 2015. So you have a little 9-inch long monitor lizard compared to Komodo dragons, which can get up to 10 feet long.
He just wants to sit there.
Yes, she is. She's just enjoying the sun here today. So as I said, these guys are, the white-throated monitor is native to Africa. These guys are found in scrubs, savannas, and also the forests of central and southern Africa.
I don't know why this person asked this. Let me see. Giona, 11. Does Samson spit salt out of his nose?
So he will on occasion. That's actually how they actually get rid of excess salt in their bodies, is they will
see,
actually...
they knew something about lizards I didn't.
Yeah. So occasionally they will kind of sneeze out some salt, if you will. So good
And
job.
how often do you feed them?
So Samson here, he eats every day. So Samson is basically a herbivore. He gets a fresh salad. He actually gets 2 salads a day because he's a big boy and he really does enjoy eating his salad. So we give him a mix of greens. He will also get some veggies as well. So we give him about 80% of his diet is greens like bok choy, collard greens, things like that. And then he'll get some squash, some cooked sweet potato as well. So that's what he gets twice a day. And then he'll get special treats. So a couple times a week he gets some banana. Banana is his absolute favorite treat. If you have a banana out, he knows that you have a banana and he wants it. He will also get blueberries as well.
He looks like he's posing for the camera.
He is. He is definitely probably of our larger lizards the one that probably poses the most for the camera. I've got some really great pictures of Samson doing some really funny things, but he's a really good poser.
So how big do they get? I mean, the monitor over here doesn't get as big as the Komodo dragon, right?
No. So Milka here, these guys can be anywhere from 3 to 6 feet long, and they can weigh anywhere from about 10 to 20 pounds when they're full grown. So I don't know if we have a recent weight on Milka. So she's 8 pounds. Lisa just told me she's 8 pounds.
So you know all this stuff about these lizards.
Well, we have Lisa and Brittany with us today. There are 2 head keepers here at Ararat Ridge Zoo, and they're also our reptile primary keepers. So they spend a lot of time with these large lizards. So that's part of the reason that we're here with them on the
These will
harnesses.
be the lizards that you'll use at the animal actor
Yes.
stage and feature them there, and special animal programs
Yes.
that we have. So the other one looks like it's walked down a bit further down.
Yes,
in
Jethro's walked a little bit
the area.
farther down. So Jethro, we talked a little bit about Samson's diet. So Jethro here is, tegus are considered carnivores or insectivores, but actually in the wild, the adult tegus will actually eat a lot of plant products as well. So Jethro here, he gets half a rat once a week, and then he also gets kiwi and a lot of other fruits too. He really enjoys his kiwi. Brittany always says I think he enjoys his kiwi more than his actual rat.
So Samantha, who is 8, wants to know why you have different coloured leashes. See, they notice everything. They watch everything. They're very
So we have
observant, these kids.
We have different color leashes for the different lizards, just so we can tell the leashes apart, so we know whose
Because
harness
they're all
and
set up
leashes-
ready for
yeah.
each particular
Yeah,
lizard.
so we know whose harness and leash is each.
Oh, look,
one.
your tortoise is having a feed.
Yes. Munch here, he's got it's been a little bit cool the last couple days, so he hasn't been out on his outdoor exhibit, and the grass is starting to get long out here, so he needed to come out and
He looks
munch
like
some of
he's
the
grown
down.
a fair bit since he came from the library.
Yes, he has probably put on, what did you say, a 10 pounds? 10 to 15 pounds since we've gotten him, so
So he looks bigger.
yes, he likes to eat. Munch is a very appropriate name for him because he will just munch all day long if you let him. So Jethro here, as I said, is a red tegu. One of my favorite facts about the red tegu is that they have their jaws are very, very strong. So they have their jaws can crush up to with a pressure of 1,000 newtons. So that is quite strong. So you do not want to stick your fingers in their mouths because they do have very strong jaws. Now, Jethro here, he's a big sweetie. He's not going to intentionally bite us or hurt us, but they do have very, very powerful jaws. So we need to be really careful when we're feeding him that we're always using tongs and keeping our fingers far away from that mouth.
So these 3 belong to 3 totally separate kinds.
Yes.
So they'd be in the unclean animal group.
Yes.
So there would be 2 of each of these kinds represent on Noah's Ark.
Yes. Two of each of these kinds are on the ark. So,
And how many species within a kind are there today? Do you know?
So with the red tegu here, there's about 160 species within the whiptail lizard kind. There's actually 20 species of tegu, and then there's a lot of other different species within that whiptail lizard kind as well. With the iguanas, there's about 39 species of iguanas today. And then with the monitor lizards, there's about 80 species. I believe it's actually 77 species of monitor lizards.
So even though we have all
alive
those
today.
species, only 2 of each kind
Right.
came off the ark, and then these species have developed since because of the
Yes.
genetic information God put in to the original kind.
And we can see a lot of these with the iguanas, the monitors, and the tegus, they all have that genetic information to survive in the habitats in which they live. So we see a lot of that adaptation to their specific habitats in which they live.
So Megan wants to know how many different kinds of lizards do you keep at the zoo?
So we have, in addition to these guys, we also have another example of the monitor lizard kind. We have a little savanna monitor named Titus. And then we also have 3 bearded dragons. We have leopard geckos. I forgot our blue-tongued skink. So that's kind of our examples of the
7 different lizard kinds.
Yes.
And then somebody asked the question here. Let me go back to it. Do lizards chase laser lights like a cat would? Gabriel 8 asks.
I don't know. That might be a fun enrichment idea. I bet Samson here would. I feel like if any of these large lizards would, it would probably be Samson. Oh, our leopard gecko actually targets to a laser. So I'm learning new things about our animals
there you are.
today.
And Nolan, who's 11, said, "Hi, Ken Ham." Hi, Nolan. Great you could join us today. Hey, by the way, I'll let you into it's not a secret, but let you see the latest here. We're going to turn around quickly before we come back to these. And they're working over there right now on the house for the lemurs. I think that house will be better than our house.
The lemurs have a really nice house. So it's actually a 2-bedroom house. So
it's got air conditioning and
heat.
It's got everything in there.
It's got everything in there. There's actually, at these windows here, we're actually going to have viewing for when it's too cold for the lemurs to be outside. We'll actually have some indoor viewing where you can see them in their indoor habitat area. So there's going to be trees in there for them. It's going to be a really cool setup for our lemurs.
And then you can see the posts on the outside there, so there'll be an outside area for them.
There'll be an outside area as well as an inside
so
area.
certain temperatures, they come outside. And then on the other side here,
Yes.
you see an enclosure with all those posts.
Yes,
the concrete edging.
They just put the edge down.
They just put that down.
Yep.
That's going to be for cranes.
Yes, they're good. Our African crown cranes are actually going to be going in that exhibit.
And so they put a 2 feet wall down into the ground so nothing can dig in.
Yes.
And it goes straight down to hard rock anyway.
Yes. So we have what is called a dig barrier. So we're not worried about the cranes digging out. We're worried about possibly other animals digging in. So that dig barrier just keeps raccoons and other things from digging in with our animals.
So, let me see. Sawyer 6 wants to know what defenses Samson has in our fallen world. What defenses would he have?
So Samson has what we call the death roll. So he will actually, if you notice, he's got some spines on his back. His tail is very, very strong. So if he feels like one of us, or if something is going to try to eat him, he will actually kind of roll himself using all that strong tail. He'll actually kind of roll himself over to get away. And it's very powerful, very strong, and it's going to scratch an animal that might try to eat him up really, really good. So that's his biggest form of defense, that and running away really quickly.
So I've started something here. Caleb, who's 13, says, "Hi, Mr. Ham." Hi, Caleb.
Now you started.
You'll say, hi to everyone who's watching. Well, there we are. Well, that's been fascinating, Leanne. So 3 different kinds of lizards. Look, the monitor lizard over there is just sitting there.
Yes, she's enjoying the sun.
Totally lethargic, just lying there. soaking in the sun's rays.
Yes, she's enjoying the sun. So on nice days like this, we try to get some of our reptiles, especially outside, to get some of that good natural sunlight. Reptiles do need UV to actually keep their bones nice and healthy. So all of ours have UV lights in their enclosures, but there's nothing to beat natural sunlight.
You know, Samson is the most active, obviously.
Yes, Samson.
Right.
Did
And
you
then
decide
this
that
one
wasn't
over
good?
here, I forget his name.
Jethro.
Jethro. Looks like he's just sprawled out there.
Yes, and I will say
Just
Jethro
soaking in the sun too.
Jethro is shedding, so if you guys noticed, his head is really nice and red and the rest of his body is a little bit pale right now. So he is in the middle of a shed. So reptiles, just like we, we'll kind of lose our skin cells, die and fall off. Well, reptiles tend to do it in one big layer. Also, as they grow, they need to shed that skin so that there's a bigger skin underneath it. So he's in the process of shedding.
Does it come off in pieces? Or?
Jethro's comes off in pieces.
Okay.
Yes.
Do some of the lizards sort of crawl out of their skin and it's sort of all there? Snakes.
Snakes can kind of slither out of their skins. The reptiles typically they flake off. It's really hard for them to come off in one piece with their feet.
So he's a two-tone lizard right now.
He's a two-tone lizard. He should be nice and bright red like his head is currently.
So are any of the lizards venomous?
So monitor lizards are mildly venomous, but the rest of them are not venomous.
So someone said here, how do the definition of a kind and species differ? Because in the lizard kinds, they look so much alike. Lily, age 8, asked what the definition of kinds and species is. Kind is mostly at the family level classification, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. Now, there are some animals like elephants, for instance, and there are others where it's at the order level. And there are some where it's at the genus and a few where it's species. But basically, if various animals can interbreed in some way, even if not with each other, but with one that interbreeds with one that interbreeds with another, in some way they're all interrelated, that constitutes a kind.
Yes.
That's how we work out a kind. And in the majority of instances, it works out to be the family level of classification.
Yes, the whiptail lizard kind, which Jethro is a part of, there is quite a bit of hybrid data within that kind to suggest that they are all members of the same
Anne
kind.
wants to know, do they get sick, need medical care? Do they have regular checkups?
Yes, so all of our reptiles here get regular checkups. We actually have a vet that we specifically use for our reptiles and our birds. She specializes in that. So everybody gets a yearly exam, checkup, make sure everybody's healthy. And if they were to get sick, we keep very good records of what they're eating, how much they're eating, their weights and things. So if we notice something is not right with one of our reptiles, we will go ahead and call our vet and get them in for a checkup to make sure everything is okay.
So it's one of the things that I've learned as we've done a lot of these programs recently, and that is that you people look after all the creatures, even the cockroaches.
Even the cockroaches.
You'd probably call a vet if the cockroach was sick.
Well,
you might draw the line there.
We may draw the line at the cockroach.
I mean, you give them names and you tell them they're sweet and things like this.
With frankincense and myrrh, with our Australian burrowing cockroaches, we might try to call the vet. I don't know if our vet would look at them, but we might try. Our vet might draw the line at cockroaches.
Well, Leah, maybe you could walk back towards
Yes.
Samson's house there. Is it Samson? No.
Munch.
Munch's house.
Munch's
that's right.
house.
Munch's house,
go back in?
just to show them where Munch lives. And this is one of the new areas here at the Ark Encounter Zoo. And when you come here, you'll be able to see Munch. Where did Munch go? He went back into his house.
Inside.
He went back into his. He came out, had a feed, and then went back into his house. So
But we can go in and if you want to
thank you
look
to
in,
the zoo staff.
can.
They are very dedicated looking after all of our critters down here. And if you want to help us to be able to continue
Munch's
to have the
salad.
staff here and feed them, you can go to the answersandgenesis.org donate page and help us, and particularly during this time while we're shut down. Oh, look, that looks like a salad from a local restaurant.
Yes, he's got bok choy, collard greens, endive, carrots, looks like yellow squash, and a tomato today.
And have you sprinkled something on that?
Yes.
Some extra?
That's calcium. It's
Calcium?
basically a calcium powder. So most of our reptiles get some sort of calcium supplement. It just keeps their bones healthy. But as I talked about earlier, that they need that UV light to actually convert the calcium to keep their bones nice and strong. So we try to.
Glad you guys know all this stuff. I don't know any of this. I just like to come down here and look at all the animals.
Well, when you work with animals, every time we get a new animal into our collection, we do a lot of research just to make sure we're providing them top-notch husbandry. So we'll research an animal thoroughly before we add it to the collection, just to make sure we know what we're getting into and what they all need to stay healthy.
And I know a number of you have asked questions I haven't got to, but Karina will go through those and answer them a little later. And so there we are. So we will say goodbye to these lizards here at the Ark Encounter Ararat Ridge Zoo. What a beautiful day. What a shame we can't have thousands of people here like we normally would this time of year. And, oh look, opposite here are the ostriches.
Yes.
We've already had programs
Yes.
on them.
We talked about them.
And the kangaroos on the other side, see them lying down there?
Yes, they're all being lazy
They're
today.
all bored because they want people here.
Yes.
So there we are. All right, with that, thanks, Leanne. Thanks to the rest of the zookeepers here. And to the lizards, and to Samson for being the star.
Yeah,
Look,
Samson
he's
is
still the
clearly the
star.
star.
There he is, wanting to walk. Okay, hope you enjoyed the program today.